Good evening, my fellow citizens.
Take it, Mark.
Welcome to Tuesdays Live. Hey, everybody, how are you today? Mark here. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. I realize it's only the second day or third day if you count Sunday as the first day. Whatever. I hope it's going well, and I hope the rest of the week is going well for you as well. But tonight, it's Tuesdays Live, and I know you're just as excited as I am to be here tonight. I want to take a moment to remind everybody out there watching that we are an interactive show. At least we try to be. I mean, you folks have been really quiet out there lately. Don't be shy. Get onto Twitter. Give us a mention at AllIndie, ALLINDIE. And if you give us a mention there, we will give you a shout out right here on the air. And we'll even show your tweet right there at the bottom of the screen, other side. I keep pointing on the wrong side. And also, you can interact with us on our YouTube channel as well through the YouTube chat. But we prefer the Twitter method, if at all possible. Look, you can watch us in 5 different locations all at once if you'd like. We're on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Stream Me, and Twitch. Yeah, any one of those locations you can tune in and see the show live. And also you can tune in right now 24/7 and listen to some awesome indie music when the show's not on. Just tune in and listen to some great tunes. We have thousands on rotation, so it'll be pretty rare that you'll hear a song replayed a second time anytime soon. All right, we've got a great guest for you tonight. But before I introduce him, let me bring, Rich just reminded me, yes, if you are the talking type and you would like your voice heard on the show, give us a call. The number's right there on the screen, 347-985-0344. You can call in. You can ask our guest questions. You can call us names, whatever you'd like to do. Give us a call. We would love to hear from you. And there you go. Thank you for the reminder there, Rich. Speaking of Rich, let me go ahead and bring him into the mix. Here he is from the smallest city in Illinois, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rich Wildman. You there, Rich?
I'm not from the smallest city in Illinois. I lived in one of the smallest cities in Illinois. But, to become a city, believe this or not, this is a little trivia for everybody out there who wonders what it takes to qualify to be a city in the state of Illinois. You have to have a population of 5,000 minimum. That's it.
Oh, sorry.
Am I boring you, Mark? Seriously?
No, not at all. Please go right ahead.
Could be worse. Could be worse. It could be Walt boring you instead of me.
Oh, God.
But
good segue. I like the segue.
Walt doesn't bore anybody. He's too busy riding the indie music bus, and you should be riding the indie music bus too out there, folks. If you're not, you should be. The indie music bus is all about indie music, of course. If you're an indie musician, you run a station that plays indie music, you do a podcast that plays indie music, any of that stuff, anything having to do with indie music, get in contact with Walt over at the Indie Music Bus. Here's some of the things that they do over at the Indie Music Bus. That's the Indie Music Bus, and Walt Hargrave is the guy who runs it all, and like I said, he's not boring at all, like apparently I am. I don't know why Mark would think that, but apparently he does.
It's all that useless trivia yet stored up in that head of yours.
It's one of the reasons I always would win Jeopardy if I were ever on Jeopardy. The fact of the matter is, I took a pre-test for Jeopardy, qualified to go in for the little game they do, to see if you're qualified to actually be on the show. But then I got hired by the company that researched the answers, so I was disqualified from ever participating. So,
Man,
yeah.
I don't know if that sucks or not. I mean, you had a job.
Well,
So,
yeah,
I
but
mean,
I could have won. I could have beat Ken Jennings on, could have beat his winning streak.
there you go. Well, you're not employed anymore. Give it another shot. Isn't the show still around?
It's still around, but I'm over it now.
And by now, you know a heck of a lot more.
I've forgotten more than, no, I'm over it now.
All right. Cool. Should I go ahead and introduce our guest?
Yeah, you
Or
probably
should we
should. No,
Yeah, I probably
bring him
should.
in. Everybody's waiting on him. They don't want to see us. They don't want to hear us. They want to hear him.
Yeah, well, I do too. And in fact, we're going to hear some brand new music for the first time tonight. We are honored to be premiering two new songs today that I'm aware of. I think it's two. We'll find out in just a second. But let me go ahead and introduce to you a friend of mine, a gentleman who I have known for several years now, back from the days from the very beginning of Twitter Tuesday Live. And I've met him a couple times, met his mother and father. Great family, and this guy is extremely talented, and you're going to love him if you don't already know him. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us from Los Angeles, California, Mr. Jamie Alimorad. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, I'm waiting for Rich to change the cameras here. There
Hey,
we
now,
go.
you can't blame me about this. You can't blame me for this, because I was in the process of doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And Jamie knows what it's like, hard work, right, Jamie? Am I not right?
Yeah, that's the hardest type of work.
See, so there you go. And
What's the
Jamie,
hardest?
by the way, Jamie, I really like what you've done with your hair. In fact,
Thank you.
to honor you today,
Mhm,
I did
mhm.
not shave because of yesterday's whole follicle fiasco. I thought I
Oh,
would not shave in honor of that.
I'm honored. Well, that's awesome.
That's great. I think did you patent the hairdo? Is it called the Alimorad or something, or the Jamie?
I don't know. I got to figure out a name for it. Maybe Henry or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Henry, love it. Oh gosh, so you have a brand new album out, and your producer is a guy that well, either you know him or you don't. Most people should know who he is. Why don't you tell everybody who your producer is?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to have my new album produced by the one and only Gino Vanelli, who you may remember from his late 70s and early 80s hits such as I Just Want to Stop and Living Inside Myself. And my favorite piece of bar trivia about Gino is that he was the very first white performing artist on Soul Train. That's like my favorite piece of trivia about Gino. And he's just like the most amazing musician you're ever gonna come across. There is nothing that he can't do, and I've really learned that having been in the studio with him for so long.
Mark wasn't bored by that piece of trivia. I just want to point that out. So,
Well, I mean, just it's got some soul to it. That's probably why.
I
When
see.
when Jamie speaks, he holds your attention. And then, but sometimes, Rich, when you speak, it's kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher. Eventually you start hearing wah 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 wah.
You remember this, Mark. One thing to remember: I know where you live.
Mm,
Just saying.
Be careful there, Mark.
Yes, yes. This is what we go through every week, Jamie. You know that. I mean, look, when you were on Twitter Tuesday Live, it was the same with Carol and me. We would always sling back at each other. Yeah.
That's the way.
And by the way, Carol unfortunately is working right now. It's early in the morning in Australia. She is working, and she is going to see the recorded version of the show later. But she sends her love and says she can't
Carol,
wait to hear.
I miss you. I love you. I can't wait for you to hear the songs and catch up with you soon. It's been a while.
We had Rich just had up there a tweet from Mary Lou. Do you know how to pronounce the last name? Mary Lou Pychik?
I know Mary Lou.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mary Lou, if I pronounced your name incorrectly. I'm guessing it's Pychik. Do you know, Jamie?
I think that's correct. I'm terrible with names sometimes. But I do know Mary Lou, and she's been a great supporter of me with this project, and she knows her Geno facts. That's for sure.
And a lovely lady by the name of Laura Alimorad tweeted earlier saying hello. So that's your mom.
We crossed paths a few times. That Laura and I, yeah. Hi, Mom.
Alimorad. Or
now, I got to break in with a little technical issue. I'm hearing someone tapping something.
Oh, that might have been me. I'm
nervous energy.
No, it's just I'm used to having a keyboard in front of me. It's like I just want to play, or drums or something. It's just the rhythm never gets out of my head. It's my fault.
That's all right.
All right. You know, don't worry about
it. It's just affecting your sound. I'm just, you know.
I appreciate you letting me know.
I'm looking out for you.
If it's annoying, Rich, then it must be good. So look, you've lived in Boston. You lived in New York. You're a huge Red Sox fan. You've sang the national anthem there at Fenway Park a few times, and that's first of all awesome. I have another friend who is part of a barbershop quartet who has sung the national anthem over there at Fenway Park as well. I can't remember the name of his group, but anyway. But now you've made a big move. You've moved from New York to LA. Tell us why that happened.
Well, I traded in snowstorms for sunshine, basically. But the truth, New York, while a great city, is going through a huge transformation with music, and the venue and live scene is just shrinking exponentially. And the opportunity for me there kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And all the places that I used to play were closing, sadly. And that seems to be a trend in a lot of spots in the Northeast. And I started working on this album with Geno 3 years ago. And it has been an unbelievable journey that we'll get into over this next hour. But everything that was growing into my chance to succeed as a singer, a songwriter, and an artist was all out here. I've been performing out here for years. I've been successful out here. And now pretty much all of my resources are out here. So with the album approaching its completion, it only made sense for me to be in the heart of the action, surrounded by the people that can really help me bring my career to the next level. And I've been enjoying it. You know, it's a struggle. It's a whole new world for me. Obviously, I've been here before, sometimes for months at a time, but you're not actually living here. It's a whole different ball game. But I love it. I love the energy. I love the atmosphere. You can't beat the weather, and it's been going really well. And striving to just keep climbing the mountain.
Yeah, sure. How long have you been there now?
Almost 8 months.
Wow, that long. So by now you're settled in.
Yeah, I'm settled. Yeah.
That's great. Have you had a chance to perform since you've been there? Perform in any venues over there in LA?
I sang at the Viper Room earlier this month, and I think that's really been it. We've been so focused on the album, and all the time, energy, and resources went into tracking and mixing, and we're still mastering some songs, and now we are shopping it, so that hopefully I won't be like super independent for too much longer. And I've been going to a lot of different events and meeting some people, but we'll be getting back into performing pretty soon, getting the band together to start rehearsing. And the new material it's got some meat on those bones. This is not what I was doing the last time I was on the show. This is a very different sound, a more mature sound, and it's got way more groove than what I was doing before. And I appreciate all my old songs. You know, that's where I came from. But you'll hear today, with some of the cuts that we're going to play that are new, it almost sounds like a different guy. And in some respects, it is.
Well, now I know that you wrote most of your old stuff. Did you write this stuff as well?
Yeah, so my old stuff I wrote by myself. This stuff, I wrote everything, and I brought into the man himself, and Gino just tore me to shreds in the best way possible. He did not let me take any shortcuts. He never let me settle on anything. We had one time a nearly 2-hour discussion about one word. And we went through, I don't know, 5 or 6 different iterations of this one line, changing one word. And then we'd go away, and then we'd come back to it. And he was so focused that the message I was delivering be proper, that sometimes I wanted to throw myself out the window because I just did not get why that was so important. But he told me from the very beginning, the goal is going to be that with these songs that we're going to do, you're going to tell 3.5 to 4.5 minute stories that will resemble a movie in people's ears and in their minds. And we did it. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that we've done. And it's been an incredible journey. I launched a Kickstarter for what was going to be an EP back in January or February of 2015. And we didn't finish recording this album until February of 2018 because it started as an EP. It evolved into a full length. We needed to raise more money. And then I wrote about 36 to 40 songs for this album. He just went, no, 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 no. That song, but just that much of it is good. Now go make it great. And I'm telling you, it was brutal. It was like going to boot camp all the time. But he pulled stuff out of me that I didn't know existed. And he knew it was there from the very beginning. He saw it. He heard it in my voice. He could see it in my writing. And he just kept hitting that nerve until it finally came out. And his DNA and his fingerprints are all over these songs, and in a good way. You know, it's still totally my voice, but with his influence, and it's some great songs.
Just out of curiosity, the song with the word that you were referring to, is it one of the 3 we're playing tonight?
No, it is not.
Okay.
I'll get it. I'll get into some of the ones that we're not playing tonight later, but we can look. We'll stay in the present, and then towards the end, I can get into the.
I was just curious because I was going to ask you what that word was, but if it doesn't apply to one of these songs, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. It's not one of these. The songs, the 2 ones that we're playing today, were actually 2 of the easier ones to write. Those didn't go through that many revisions.
Okay.
But some of the other ones, holy crap. I mean, I felt like a prize fighter sometimes.
Well, look, you know, Gino, if you happen to be tuned in and watching the show tonight, you know, Rich, throw the phone number back up again, will you? Down there on the bottom of the screen.
It can come to me what's for.
Give us a call, will you? And you can. You're more than welcome to throw in your comments and tell Jamie how awesome he is as well. That's 347-985-0344. And that's good, by the way, anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. If you're outside of the U.S., you can call, but it's going to be kind of expensive. So anyway, that's for everybody. Gino, give us a call, will you?
All
right.
Call.
Huh?
I'm worth it. Just give us a call. Let's go.
Absolutely. Yes, Jamie's worth it. All right, we're going to play the first song of the evening, which is a song that you released a little while ago. I believe you actually, do you have a video for it already for Rock Me to Heaven?
A video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a video?
Yeah, there is a video. Rock Me to Heaven is a song that it's a cover. Gino wrote that song, and it's off his album called These Are the Days from '06. And it's one of my favorites of his. And we did that song as a promo because we knew we needed to raise more money for the full length. And he said, well, let's get something out there that people might be familiar with, and my name's on it, and you know, we can show what we're aiming towards. So he reworked the song, and that was the first song that I recorded for this album. And compared to the original, it's a completely different vibe. This one has more of a Nashville sound, and it set me on the path to what you'll hear later on in the show.
All right, cool. Let's let the audience take a listen. I know everybody's itching to hear this music because we all love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rock Me to Heaven by Jamie Alimorad right here on Tuesdays Live. Take it away, Red.
It's always so fine to come home to you, to the healing touch I've grown accustomed to, that small piece of comfort in the last light of the day. I'm a little battle worn, I'm down and out, but you weave a silver lining in every dark cloud. When you kiss me and you look at me that way, yeah, you quiet the storm in my mind every time we come together. Yeah, you raise me high to the moonlit sky above the heavy weather. Yeah, rock me to heaven all night long and take me away till the hurt is gone. Send me across the night like a shooting star. Yeah, sway me slow and look into my eyes and open up the gates of paradise. Feel the love that you draw from the beating of my heart. It's been a long, hard day, and sometimes I feel like I'm losing the fight. So darling, be an angel and rock me to heaven tonight. You go to my head like a very fine wine, soak up my sorrows like the sunshine. You rush to my pain like a miracle cure. And when I'm driven to despair, it's you who restores me to health. You give me reason to live when I'm ready to give up on myself. Yeah, rock me to heaven all night long and take me away till the hurt is gone. Send me across the night like a shooting star. Oh, sway me slow and look into my eyes and open up the gates of paradise. Feel the love that you draw from the beating of my heart. It's been a long, hard day, and sometimes I feel like I'm losing the fight. So darling, be an angel and rock me to heaven tonight.
All right, rock me to heaven. Whoa, echo. Wow,
That's
that
all
was
right.
really cool.
Actually,
Oh,
you're the only one who heard it. It didn't go out over the air.
darn, that was like really cool effect. Yes, Rock Me to Heaven by Jamie Alimorad here on Tuesdays Live. If you're out there listening, or if you happen to tune in late, let me remind you, you can get onto Twitter, give us a mention at AllIndie, ALLINDIE. Give us a mention on Twitter. We'll give you a shout out right here on the air, and your tweet will appear on the bottom of the screen. You can also ask our guest, Jamie, any questions you might have. You can even ask him personal questions. He'll tell you on the air whether he'll answer them or not. We won't ask them, but you can. Why not, right? And mom, we know you're listening out there, Mom, Laura. If you'd like to give us a call, tune in and get on the air, please do. We would love to hear from you. And sorry, my wife just peeked her head in through the door and distracted me. Thank you for. Oh! She says she heard the echo, so the echo did go out to air. All right, okay. All right. Well, a cool effect. We meant to do that, right? Yeah, right. We did. Yeah. We did that on purpose. I don't know. I'm not hearing Jamie all of a sudden.
Oh, really? I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go.
His
right.
Mark.
Yeah.
You can tell when Jamie's talking because his lips move.
And my ventriloquism isn't very good. I've tried. It's just not very good at all.
I don't know. All right, Mr. Obvious. So, jumping back to 2011, that was when you released your first album. Is that correct? 2011?
Yeah. Late 2010, but it really didn't start doing anything until 2011.
Yeah. Now I'm reading your bio here, and your first recorded tracks, "What You Have," "She Is," which we love, by the way, great song. Mm-hmm. "Stay With Me," "In Her Smile." They all peaked number 1 on the Indie 104 Top 40 charts in 2011. Yeah. Can't go wrong there. And "She Is" also went on to become the most played song in the history of iRadio LA. Wow.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I got to play out here the first time, was because of that song. And it's funny with "She Is." I know Carol really loves that song, and I wanted to re-record that with Gino, and we did a piano vocal version of it a few years ago. And I said I wanted to revisit that and see if we can modernize it a little bit, maybe bring it out of some of the pop rock stuff that I was doing. And we had this happy accident when we were having a pre-production session, and he changed one thing, and we looked at each other, and he felt that the lyric should change as well, because when I wrote that, I think I was 20 or 21. So he goes, "You've matured a little bit. Let's make it less boyish and make it more like a man singing." And I said I had no problem with that. And this little accident that he did in a harmonic movement made us both perk up and say, what if it did this? And then that turned into, what if it did that? And essentially what happened is I had this other song that I wrote just before I went in there called "You Are My Home." And part of that song fit really well with what he accidentally changed in "She Is." So we Frankensteined the song together, and it's a track called "I Am Home" that will be on the new album. We won't play it today, unfortunately, but there is some remnants of "She Is" in that song. That it's in the melody. It could not sound more different, but you'll hear certain remnants of the melody from "She Is" in this new track.
Oh, I'm gonna have to take a listen to that. Oh, by the way, I realize, Rich, and then you're probably wondering. Usually by now, Rich is the one who's taken over, but I had to get this in, and I've got one other question. So I'm gonna let Rich take over the 7:30 to 7:45 slot. So I should have given you a head there, Rich. I do apologize for taking it over here. You there, Rich?
Yeah, you don't have to apologize to me. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'm sorry about apologizing. I apologize for apologizing. Now, I noticed that also one of the things that you said in your bio here, the popularity of these two songs. Of course, we're talking now about Dancing with You and That's What She Said, which, by the way, That's What She Said is my personal favorite. And I know that Julie likes it, and I know Rich likes it too.
Cool.
That song.
That's what you said joke.
Yes. Those songs says here that turned you into one of the most demanded artists on indie radio stations out of LA, Vegas, Minneapolis, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Miami. Gee, Miami. Yeah. Who? I don't know what station that could have been.
Yeah, I have to think about that.
Oh, gosh. All right. We're at the bottom of the hour, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and play your second song. When we come back, we're going to let Rich take over, and because I kind of overran his time slot right here. So your next song is Brighter Days. This
is a big premiere.
Yes, the big premiere of Brighter Days. And I heard I've heard another song from another artist called Brighter Days, which I love, so I'm sure I'm going to love this one too. So tell us a little bit about this one.
Brighter Days, I had this kind of George Michael Faith meets islandy guitar thing that I was just fooling around with. And I recorded it and I put it off to the side. And then I was with a friend, and it was someone that I'm very close to, and we always have these powwows over dinner and whenever we get together and just talk about life. And she was going through a really, really hard time. And I couldn't believe just how much was happening in her world. Yet when we were together, she was smiling and laughing, and you would never think that there was anything wrong. But when she opened up about it, you could really see that darkness that was hovering around her and that she was holding in. So I was so moved by that, and I couldn't shake the thought of my friend going through this difficult period, that I just sat down at my keyboard and I was playing the guitar that I recorded, and I looped it, and I started singing. And I just had this thought of, if things are bad, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And that's the message of the song, that no matter how dark it may get, there are brighter days ahead. And I wrote it basically for her, but it's a universal message. And I know a lot of people that are suffering from depression and sadness, and it's something that we all go through at some point, but you have to remember that it may be dark now, but there are brighter days ahead. So that's what it's about. And it's a really optimistic song. All
right, cool. Well, I haven't heard it yet, so this will be the first for me. Before we play it, I got to tell you, the second you mentioned George Michael and Faith, I know my wife's going to love this song. George Michael is like God.
George on this album, especially vocally.
Really cool. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Brighter Days by Jamie Alimorad right here on Tuesdays Live. Take it away, Rich.
Walls are closing in. It's getting hard to breathe. Thinking of cashing in my chips. I don't have an ace up my sleeve, but I hear a little voice inside me say, before I go and throw it all away. When it rains it pours, so just the weatherman said, this is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. When living's hard and you think you're better off dead, this is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. I look at my reflection, all I see are broken dreams. There's a light behind a house full of stars. Crack the shell and find out who you really are. Whoa! When it rains, it pours, it's just the weatherman said. This is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. When living's hard and you think you're better off dead, this is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. In the darkness, there's a heaviness that weighs me down. I moan like a rescue dog in a lost and found. No one in the stormy world to turn to, except for that little voice like a patch of blue. Come on, yeah, all right. When it rains, it pours, so just the weatherman said. This is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. When living's hard and you think you're better off dead, this is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. Oh, whoa. This is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead. Oh, whoa. This is tomorrow calling, there are brighter days ahead.
Brighter days, Jamie Alimorad. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
hearing myself. Echo. All right.
I turned that off, so you shouldn't be hearing yourself.
Testing. I hear myself twice. Yeah.
It's like you're in a stadium, though. It's cool.
I know. Hello. Welcome.
Now, I'm going to ask you very seriously. Are you hearing yourself now?
Testing 1. No.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out
All right. So, as promised, excuse me, if you're ready, Rich. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
All right. If you're ready, I am going to turn it over to the man sitting next to me over there in the orange, supposed to be red shirt.
Jamie, have you ever had a guy you work with that just gets on your nerves all the time?
Oh yeah, that's like every job I've ever had.
Oh, there you go. Welcome to my world. So
All right.
So all right, now you and I know each other a little bit differently than what Mark and you know each other. We're old Army buddies. We fought in Vietnam together and took on a whole company of German soldiers back in World War II, which literally won the war for everybody.
I mean, yeah, they don't want to talk about it in the history books because it's not as romantic as
yeah,
what
I
the
know.
history books.
It's a real odd story. A bald guy and a guy with hair, getting along. Who would have thought?
Well, it was our decoy of that argument that distracted them and allowed us to just take the city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you remember that. No, actually, you were on MSI, and one of your songs, we're going to hear it later at the end of the show, was a song selected as a song of the week, and which is a very difficult thing to do, to get something past Ian and Tom back in the day was very difficult. But that was in May of 2013, I believe. So and you've come a long way since then. Now, a lot of people, when stuff like that happens, will say, I just got lucky. I'm hoping that you'll tell me something different, that you attribute it to hard work. But
Totally.
what do you attribute your success to, and what's next for you?
It's been a constant grind. So the chain of events that led me to Gino was in 2012. He had an ear accident while in Europe. You know, those in-ear monitors that singers and bands will wear while on stage. I believe he was in Denmark. He might have been in the Netherlands, though. Somebody that was running sound unplugged a cable and didn't tell him to take his earpiece out, and it just went pop. And he went down and lost his hearing for a while, and he had to cancel a bunch of shows in Europe and North America into the fall. And after that, he basically, I believe, needed something to do. And in March, March of 2012, decided to have a master's class in his studio in Portland, Oregon. And he had done so a few times in Europe. He'd never done one in the States. And at the encouragement of actually some people in Gino's fan base that have gotten to know me through the years, because I was like the only kid at the concert, you know, they encouraged me to go out for it. And I came up with a million reasons of why I shouldn't do it. And part of that was because the album That's What She Said was on was going to be released. During the time period that the classes were going on, I was booked to play a bunch of shows in Los Angeles. I had all this stuff going on. Like, I don't know if I can get up there. But I said to myself, stop making excuses and just go for it. So I applied, I sent in my work, and I got in. So I went up for a week, and I did a song with him, which was actually She Is, as a piano vocal version, and we just kind of clicked. And it was from there that I went back a year later to do another class with him, and Gino's two brothers, his older brother Joe and his younger brother Ross, are also monster musicians. So his brother Ross, who is also a songwriter and an audio engineer, producer, is also Gino's manager. So I was out in Los Angeles visiting LA with some friends. We were on vacation. At that time, were thinking about maybe the three of us should move out here and try a new life and all that stuff. And I was going to do a rock record with Ross, and we started getting things off the ground, and then it got grounded. And then just when we were about to get off the ground again, he brought up the idea of talking to Gino about having him produce the vocals. So I was on a Skype call with Gino, and he said, well, I could do the vocals, but I prefer to do the whole thing. And if you're serious about it, I really want to do the whole thing. So that chain of events led me to doing the album with Gino. Now, to actually have the album be done was a whole other crazy string of events that was nonstop hard work. Launching that Kickstarter and having it be successful was a full-time job that I never anticipated it was going to be that intense to just do a crowdsourcing campaign. Meanwhile, I was playing all across the country, LA, Phoenix, Vegas, New York, Boston, Washington, Philadelphia, Nashville, and trying to just get more and more content out there. My music video for Beautiful reached over 2 million hits on YouTube and became a big viral thing for me. They got me a little bit more recognition and some notoriety, and I got nominated for a few indie awards, won a few of them here and there. Some magazines started to pick up my story and things like that. And I was out doing stuff all the time. And then when it was time to do this record, all of that stopped because all of my focus and all of my attention went into these songs. And I remember I had 5 cuts that I said, here's our EP, I'm ready to do this. And I recorded demos in Philadelphia just before Christmas of 2014, and I sent them off to Gino, and I thought, all right, we're going to do the Kickstarter, it's going to get funded, and I'm going to record this album, and by next year, it's going to be done. That's what I thought it was going to be. I could not have been more wrong. Those 5 songs I did the demos for got buried so deep backlog that they'll probably never see the light of day again.
Now let me interrupt you real quick. I want to ask this question. I want to know how your work process has changed since when you were in New York before. Let's call it BG and AG, before Gino and after Gino, just to make it easy. What changed in your work process? And do you think that you're more serious about things now than you were then, or what's that like for you too?
Great question. And I think the best way for me to describe it is to compare it to video games. In the 80s and into the mid 90s, you looked at a video game and it was sprites and it was a side scroller and it was kind of dinky music because it's either 8-bit or 16-bit. And then all of a sudden, 95, 96 with the PlayStation N64, boom, 3D. You can see 360 around you. Suddenly, the world has come to life, and you can fully immerse yourself into it. So in my AG time, I had the knowledge that I had, which was from years of piano lessons and what I learned in college as a music tech major at Northeastern, and really wearing my influences on my sleeve, whether that was the Beatles or Rick Springfield, the Tubes, Richard Marx, whoever. I really wanted to have their sound, but my version of it. And you can hear that when you listen. When we get to the Gino time, the AG, he opened my mind to so many things. And he didn't want me to just think of myself as a songwriter per se. I had to be a storyteller. And I had to be a storyteller lyrically, as a performer, but then also as a composer. Because there is plenty of instrumental music that can make you feel and can make you have a picture come to life out of nowhere. So that was the thing that kind of blew my mind. And when I hear that from him, I'm thinking, okay, so I have to go big. But it was the exact opposite. He wanted me to get small. So all of the songs that I eventually recorded and the ones that got rejected and put back in the vault, he said, you're going to do these songs as a demo, just vocals and piano, or vocals and guitar. And let's get it as bare bone as possible. And if it sounds good like that, it's going to sound good with a full band or orchestra or whatever we choose to do. So to be really looking at it kind of how a jeweler would at a stone, just really getting in there and crafting and tinkering and making sure the edges are smooth and you just have this shining piece. That was not something that I was really paying that much attention to before. I went in, wrote a song. I kind of wrote all the parts at once. I wrote the song and arranged it at the same time. And he slowed me down so much. And it was remarkable to watch him work because I was calling the shots with my first 2 albums. And when I went into the studio with him, you can't teach experience. And right. He already was brilliant, but then he has all the decades of experience on top of that. And he knows every instrument inside out. He knows the vocals inside out, and he knows the software. And that combination pulled things out of players and pulled things out of me that I listened to the playback, and I always try to remove myself from it because you're too close to your work all the time. So when I would get to that point of just trying to pretend that's just a guy that's singing it and I don't know who wrote the songs, and I would be moved by it, that's when I knew we were really onto something. And I try to apply that now with my writing going forward.
Well, that makes sense. So he's been a big influence, and that's great to see, and it's good to hear too. It's an interesting change. I mean, it's definitely not worse. So I mean, but the fact is, it's a different sound.
Ever get Rich, by the way, one of the best.
Yeah, it is a compliment. It's a different side of you, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Something we haven't heard before.
Yeah, and just really quick, because I know you probably want to get to more music. The 2 songs that I'm premiering today, Brighter Days, which you just heard, and what you're going to hear soon, Not Ready to Say Goodbye. So those 2 cuts were actually produced by Gino's brother, Ross. And part of the reason we did that was because Portland was on fire at one point last year. And Gino ran into not only a scheduling conflict, but he had technical issues in his studio. So because we were taking way too long to do stuff, he said, Ross can help you. And if you're going to LA anyway, you can just go up the road to him and do these 2 cuts. And they're definitely more poppy songs, which is Ross's forte. And they have a little bit more of an electronic sound to them than the cuts I did with Gino. But I had an absolute blast with Ross in the studio. You know, the brothers are similar, yet they're very different. And when I was in the studio with Ross doing vocals and tracking the instruments and everything, we were just telling jokes nonstop and laughing. And it had just a really loose vibe with all of that stuff. And I think you can hear that in these songs. It brings out a certain character and a certain element of it. And he just killed it. He nailed it. And it was a blast. And yeah, I just got to give Ross that credit and that shout out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, I'm going to ask you during the song, Mark, to give me that number again so we can take care of that. But I know you want to introduce the third song right now.
Right, and since we're on the subject of it, and you know, we don't have much of a segue going on here. You mentioned Not Ready to Say Goodbye. Tell us quickly about the song itself, and then we will go ahead and play it.
Sure. Not Ready to Say Goodbye has the most boring story of any song on here as far as the creation of it. I was experimenting with key changes, and we were doing some odd ones in the studio, Gino and I together. So I wanted to do something that was an experiment with major and minor key changes. And I had the title Not Ready to Say Goodbye written in my notes from a while ago. And I had this guitar riff, and I was playing it on a loop, and I just started singing. And as I've said before in, you know, the old show, whenever I can't think of a word, I throw pizza in there. That's my go-to dummy lyric. So I was doing that same thing and got to Not Ready to Say Goodbye and kind of worked backwards from the title and then created the story around that. So it's basically an exercise in songwriting that I then just put a story to. And as I said, Gino wanted me to tell stories like it was a movie. So I just created this character that was having the time of his life with his lover. And then she said, I'm done, bye, it's over. And he's kind of left blindsided and trying to figure out what happened and how to get her back because he's not ready to say goodbye.
So what you're saying is the initial song, when you first started this song, the title was Not Ready to Say Pizza.
Not ready to say pizza. Not ready to leave my pizza. Not ready to eat the pizza. Something like that.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Not Ready to Say Goodbye by Jamie Alimorad right here on Tuesdays Live. Oh, and by the way, it's the premiere of the song. Let's mention that again. All right, here you go. Take it away, Rich.
Baby, you're gonna need to give me a softer landing. I need a little more understanding. I'm not accustomed to being blindsided. Threw me off course, but I'm gonna ride it, yeah. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to take the fall. Not ready to say goodbye. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the long haul. Not ready to say goodbye. Last night we flew to the moon like two halves and make a whole. Suddenly morning comes and I'm flying so low. Should've done this, should've done that. Things you say you can't take back. Oh no, now I just can't let go. I fell head over heels, I jumped when you said jump. But too fast, too deep, just call me a jump. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to take the fall. Not ready to say goodbye. I'm in it for the long haul. Yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. Not ready to say goodbye. Even talking to my heart. I know it ain't smart, but not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to take the fall. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to lose it all. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to take the fall. Not ready to say goodbye. Hey, I'm in it for the long haul. Yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to take the fall. Hey, yeah. Yeah. Not ready to say goodbye. Yeah, in it for the long haul. Not ready to say goodbye. Not ready to say goodbye.
Not ready to say goodbye right here on Tuesdays Live. Jamie Alimorad, the man behind those vocals. And boy, you got some strong vocals, boy. Always have.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I've said this to you multiple times before, and I'm going to say it again, just for those folks out there who have never heard me say it. There's a song out there, which I posted on Twitter a few years ago. I'm not on Twitter, on Facebook. And I'm having a hard time remembering the name of the band, but the name of the song is Porn Star Dancing. Remember that song? Remember I posted that on Facebook?
Yeah.
I don't know. Your voice has kind of changed a bit since then, but back then, I think your voice would have been perfect for that song.
Yeah, I had never heard that song when you posted it, and I listened to it, and I immediately bought it afterwards. It's like, this song is awesome. I really love the groove. I like the version with Zach Wilde playing guitar.
Yes.
I really like that song. My Darkest Days is the
Yes, My Darkest Days. That's right. I think you should cover that song.
I think Chad Kroger wrote that song, I think.
Yes,
from
he was.
Nickelback.
He produced it. He actually
Second verse.
Yeah.
Let me
I thought it was cool.
let me interrupt just to let you know. Cool C says great song, and
Say-
I also want to take the opportunity to apologize to Jamie's mother. She tried to call us. We tried to call her. She tried to call back, and we're having some phone issues on this end. I apologize profusely, and we're going to work on it and get it fixed, but not tonight, apparently. So
Yeah, that's all right. Jamie is going to be back, I'm sure, many times on the show. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
hope
I'd love
so.
to-
More, but
Once we figure out what the albums do, what we're done shopping it and everything, I'd love to come back and talk to you about it more.
oh, absolutely. You just say, give the word. You don't even need to be screened.
Oh, thank you. I'm ready already.
We screen every artist, and there's a handful of artists out there that we go, oh, Jamie wants to come on. Hell yeah, move somebody over. Let's get. All right.
Well, that's because I did my cavity check like 6 years ago, so I'm good for it.
Carol did that, though. Just for the record, Carol did that one. All right. Okay. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show, Jamie, and I told you, man, this just went so fast, and I'm kind of sad that it's.
Me too. Yeah, that's why we got to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. We should have a special 2-hour edition next time.
It'd be fun. If you want to go into details with the album, I have a lot of stories to tell. There's a lot of juice with this album, so I'm happy that I got to share it with everyone in the audience and you guys for the first time today and put it out there. And there's a lot more coming. A lot more.
Oh, we're definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyway, I know you're pretty busy out there, so we certainly appreciate you taking the time and spending it with us today. We look forward to hearing more of the new stuff and having you back on the show again sometime in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be good.
And another tweet real quick from Mary Lou Pychik. Good luck, Jamie. Love the new songs and look forward to hearing the whole album. Thank you very much. For those of you who tuned in, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Rich, final words for the evening.
Mark, 14 final words, only 2 of which I'm going to utter aloud. Good night, Carol.
Good night, Carol. Listen, next week, no show. It's the 4th of July week. We're taking next Tuesday off. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And just because, we love this song so much, we're going to close out the show tonight with a 4th Jamie Alimorad song from one of his older albums. It's called That's What She Said. Y'all have a great 4th of July. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.
Hey, that was fun. It goes by super fast. It's like the fastest I've had in a long time.
From the moment we met, you blew me away. You let me inside and you wanted me to stay.
We can get into that next time. As I said, I would love to almost do a storyteller, songwriter session type of show with you, because these songs are incredibly personal. And there's just, I could gush for hours about each track and what happened working with Chino and the inspiration behind them. But it'd be fun to go into that stuff with you. It really is a storyteller's album, and the 2 songs that were new for today, that's as pop as it gets. After that, the ballads are really soundtrack style songs. The upbeat songs are so funky and groovy with elements of jazz, and it's totally different from what's going on before. Yeah,
it's getting harder every day. That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said. She said.
Totally slept on that.
Good evening, my fellow citizens.